What's up YouTube, it's Ryan from AnnihilatorMTG here, and I'm back again with some more Modern. While I was on my break, Wizards of the Coast decided to shake things up in the Modern format by banning the ever-prevalent Lurrus. To put it bluntly, this card defined the format, like it or not. So this begs the question, what does the format look like now without it? In my opinion, the best way to figure it out is to play a safe deck and explore some of the matchups. We'll be doing that this week with Crashing Footfalls. This archetype is well understood by now, but for those of you who are unaware, we'll be leveraging the Cascade mechanic via Shardless Agent and Violent Outburst to cheat out Crashing Footfalls without having to actually suspend it. This gives us an absurd amount of board presence, typically out of nowhere. The efficiency and overall effectiveness of this package is really what makes the deck shine. I say this because despite the deck building restriction, we have so much room for support cards that either double as win conditions on their own, or in some cases, utterly dismantle what the opponent is trying to do. The non-creature lineup includes Dead Gone, Fire and Ice, Force of Negation, and Prismari Commands, to name a few. At each phase of the game, these cards answer threats, create a tempo advantage, counter must-answer spells, and provide an extreme form of flexibility. Then we have creatures like Bonecrusher Giant, Brazen Borrower, and Fury. All of these can answer the board when called upon, or join the ranks and win you the game. Last but not least, we have an interesting inclusion that does way more work than even I give it credit for. That would be Blood Moon. I know that everyone hates this card, but you cannot deny that the greedy mana bases of the current-day Modern format crumble under the weight of this rather simple enchantment. This deck has never let me down, so let's not waste any time here and head straight into the first match. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand is insanely bad. This one isn't much better. Yeah, this'll work. Shipping the Footfalls and a Shardless Agent. Looks like they also went down to 5. Ooh, and they play an Urza land into a Relic of Progenitus. Tron historically mulligans incredibly well. We draw a Breeding Pool, might as well play it. Here's hoping they miss a Tron land. They did not. Can't say I'm too happy about that one. Drawing a Violent Outburst. Let's play a fetch and send it back. To my surprise, they jam another tower. During their end step, we'll crack our fetch for a Triome, after which they tap their relic. We draw another fetch. Let's play one of them, then crack it for a Steam Vents. Here comes the Shardless Agent, cascading into some Rhinos. During our end step, they cash in their relic for another card. Then they play a Blast Zone. When it rains, it pours, at least for our opponent. Speaking of water, we're getting flooded here. Let's play the forest, then swing in with a team. That takes them down to 10 life. We're dodging every bullet imaginable as they play a basic forest of their own and jam a copy of Thragtusk. That brings their life total back up to 15. Unfortunately for them, this will give us free reign to cast a Violent Outburst, cascading into some Rhinos, and that'll do it. Nice. Sideboarding in this matchup should be relatively straightforward, so we'll cut the 3 copies of Dead Gone, that way we can bring in the Foundation Breakers. Looks good to me. This hand seems good enough, we'll keep. They get things rolling with a Tron land into an Expedition map, classic start. We draw another forest. Let's play the Breeding Pool, then send it back. Up next we see Tron land number 2, drawing another Fire and Ice. Think we'll just play a basic forest and hold up our spells. Before the next turn, they cash in their Expedition map for the final piece. On their upkeep, we're going to cast the Ice. That draws us a Footfalls. They jam the tower, then cast a Chromatic Star, cracking it for a green as they cast an Ancient Stirrings. Looks like they found an Ugin, which is utterly terrifying, especially when used against our main threats. Either way, we draw Gemstone Caverns. Let's play the island, then cast our Shardless Agent, cascading into some Rhinos. Oh wow, and they counter it? This feels like revenge from the last game. Well, we've got a 2/2 for 3, and they have a 4-mana Karn, down-ticking and grabbing a Chalice, which they cast immediately. Then we see another Relic, which they use for a redraw. Last but not least, they play their 8th mana and cast a Sylvan Scrying, hitting a Scalding Tarn. Let's play and crack it for a Steam Vents, then we'll cast the Prismari Command. That answers the Chalice, then we'll swing in and finish off their Karn. On their main phase, they play a Sanctum and cast their Ugin, revealing an Ulamog, and that'll be that. Not much to really say about the sideboard, so we'll try it again. In terms of threats and answers, this hand is beyond incredible. Let's play a green source and send it back. They start off very strong with an Urza's Mine into an Expedition map. We draw another Foundation Breaker, don't mind if I do, so we'll play the Steam Vents, then evoke one immediately. Never one to give up, as they cast a Chromatic Star and jam their second piece, hitting a Steam Vents. Let's play our basic, then cast the Shardless Agent, cascading into some Rhinos. Geez, and they're living the dream. That's a natural Tron, and because why not, they also cast a tasty Karn, with just enough mana to tutor for and subsequently cast an Ensnaring Bridge. No matter, we eat artifacts for breakfast. Let's cast the Prismari Command on our main phase. Then we'll swing in. They're at 12 and Karn is dead. Before anything else, they cash in their Chromatic Star. Then they cast in Ancient Stirrings, hitting a sphere, which they play and crack for another green. Then they jam a Tron piece and cast another Karn, this one being my personal favorite. They'll downtick to answer a creature, drawing a breeding pool, let's play it, then cast the Violent Outburst, flooding the board with more rhinos and boosting our creatures. We'll split the attacks accordingly and take them down to 7 life. Then they untap and scoop it up. GG's opponent. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand seems good enough. They get things started with an Urza Saga into an Amulet of Vigor. Gotta be honest, Amulet Titan is a matchup that I historically detest. We draw Steam Vents. Let's play a Scalding Tarn and send it back. Up next, they uptick their Saga, jam a basic forest, then cast an Arboreal Grazer. That gives them another Saga. During their end step, we'll crack our fetch for a Triome. Drawing a Force of Negation, little late on that one. I actually really like Force when it comes time to deal with their amulets, but as you can see, that isn't relevant this game. So I think we'll just play a Steam Vents and continue to wait. On their main phase, they upticked both of their Sagas, floating some mana before searching for an Expedition map. Ooh, then they cast a copy of Azusa, love that card. Once they play a land, the amulet will trigger. This gives us a unique opportunity to stomp Azusa. Normally, if nothing goes on the stack, they'd be able to play all of their extra lands without a chance for us to stop them. Either way, we draw a land. Let's play the breeding pool, then hold up our spells. After upticking their Saga, they get another amulet. There's a Dryad. Then they play Valakut number 2, untapping twice and activating their map. They search for a Teleria West. Here comes a Simic Growth Chamber, floating a ton of mana. This enables them to transmute the Teleria West, finding a Summoner's Pact. Let's cast the Violent Outburst, cascading into some rhinos. Then we draw Fury. Think we'll just play a land, then evoke it. That takes care of their Dryad. Let's swing in for 8 damage. They're at 12. Before anything else, they cast a Summoner's Pact. In response, we'll hit it with a Force. They play an Urza Saga. On their end step, let's crack the fetch for a Stomping Ground. Hitting another land, figures, let's play it, then we'll swing in with a team. After blocking, they're at 7 life total. They uptick their Saga, then play another one, passing straight through. That's a Blood Moon, let's cast it. And they scoop it up, nice. Much like with Tron, if we can win the first game, I'm usually very happy. So with that said, I think we'll cut the 3 copies of Dead Gone, that way we can bring in the Foundation Breakers. Looks good to me. This hand is about as good as it gets. They get things rolling with a Cavern into a Grazer, netting themselves a Simic Growth Chamber, which will return the Cavern to their hand. We draw Stomping Ground, might as well play it. I'm a little worried about their tempo, but not seeing an amulet is a really good sign. Up next, they play a castle, then cast another Grazer, this time jamming a copy of Valakut. Interestingly enough, they only have 1 unknown card in their hand, which is pretty underwhelming. Drawing a Brazen Borrower. I don't expect to need this, but let's play an untapped breeding pool just in case. Keeping things steady as they jam a Boseiju. Might as well hit them with a stomp. That's a Shardless Agent. I usually like casting those before the Violent Outburst, but we're just gonna play the fetch and be patient. Oh wow, and they just untap and do nothing? Guess we'll crack the fetch on their end step, getting a Steam Vents. Let's cast the Outburst, cascading into some rhinos. Then we untap and draw Force. Let's swing in with the team. They're at 10 life. Considering the amount of interaction we have, I don't think we'll be cascading any more this game. They play a Cavern, naming Giant, but that's it. In this situation, we can either flash out the Borrower or cast the Prismari Command, and I think we'll do the latter. Oh whoops, kinda misclicked and discarded the Brazen Borrower, that's awkward. We draw another Foundation Breaker. Let's play the fetch, then attack immediately. They double block. Then they untap and concede. Sorry about the misplay there, but we got it done. GG's opponent. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand seems decent. Let's get things started with a fetch, which we'll crack for a breeding pool. Then we'll suspend the Footfalls and send it back. First things first, they play a basic forest and cast a Noble. We've been seeing some more infects lately, so hopefully this isn't that. We draw a Violent Outburst, not bad. Let's play and crack the Scalding Tarn, finding a Steam Vents. Then we'll split 2 damage between the Noble and their face, excellent. On their main phase, they play a Wooded Foothills, cracking it for a Stomping Ground. Here comes the second Noble, then we get a different flavor. The full set of Nobles does scream Infect, but their mana base, not so much. Either way, we draw a basic forest, let's jam it, then I think we'll cast the Fire again. This isn't super proactive, but it does represent card advantage, and hopefully sets them back considerably. They play a land, and nothing else. Drawing drawing a copy of Dead Gone. Let's hold up the Violent Outburst and see what else they got, which is apparently just more lands, fine by me. Let's cast the Outburst, cascading into some rhinos, and they scoop it up, nice. This is definitely a lazy approach to sideboarding, but I think we're just gonna send it back. Although now that I think about it, those Blood Moons are probably horrendous. Regardless, this hand is pretty bad, so we'll mulligan. Much better, we'll keep and ship a Footfalls. After resolving mulligans, they jam a basic forest and not much else. That would be a Triome. Let's play the Boseiju, then suspend some rhinos. On their following turn, they play a check land and continue to wait. We draw a Breeding Pool. With this Fire and Ice, we have a pretty sizable tempo advantage. With that said, I think we're going to save it for removal rather than anything else. Regardless, they play a basic forest, then Windmill Slam a Blood Moon. That's fun. Before that resolves, we'll crack our fetch for a basic island, hitting them with a stomp on their end step. That's a Misty Rainforest, might as well play it. Then we'll hard cast the Giant. What we're going for in this situation is the strongest board presence that we can possibly muster, keeping things relatively calm as they play a non-basic and send it back, drawing a copy of Dead Gone. Let's play a land, then swing in with our dude. In response to this, they flash out Endurance. The one thing about this card I never fail to underestimate is just how useful the stat line is. We trade Knuckleheads, then they play another non-basic and hit us with an Obsidian Charmaw. Because we have some rhinos in the wings, I think we'll hit their dude with both the dead and then the fire. It dies, and we lose a land. Here come the rhinos. Then we draw another land, figures. Let's play it and send it back. Up next, they cast a Noble into a Magus of the Moon. That's pretty underwhelming. On their end step, we'll cycle the Triome, hitting an island. Then we see another Footfalls. I guess we'll just play the land, then swing in with a team. That leaves them at 10 life. They play a basic forest, then oddly enough, out of all things, they attack with a Noble. We're at 18, drawing a Force of Negation. Let's attack once again. Then they flash out another Endurance, hitting us with a double block as they go down to 6 life. Then they untap and swing in immediately. We're at 14. Now that's a good card. Prismari Command brings a lot of flexibility to the table. With that in mind, we'll attack them with a Rhino. They block with a Noble. I have to guess that they're concerned about fire. Either way, they untap and cast another Magus of the Moon. During their end step, we'll cast the Prismari Command, hitting their Magus and drawing 2. Let's discard both the Moon and the Footfalls. That's a Fury. We'll jam the non-basic, then cast it immediately, destroying their Endurance. And that'll do it. GG's opponent. And there you have it. Crashing Footfalls is an archetype that has somehow infused combo, tempo, and control elements into one terrifyingly effective package. If I were to enter a competitive REL tournament in person, this would be a deck that I would seriously consider. On that note, I wanted to sort of pull back the curtain and discuss what Magic has been like for me ever since I created this channel. Back in the day, I would specialize in certain archetypes and only really grind out those specific decks in hopes of placing well at a major tournament, be it a GP or an Open. Some of the decks that I've spent a lot of time with include Grixis variants, Bant Eldrazi, Blue-White Control, and your classic Scapeshift. However, nowadays I feel compelled to play something relatively new or different every single week. To be honest with you, this is really draining, and I have zero idea how other content creators do this on a daily basis, let alone doing it with any degree of success. This has manifested itself as a bit of performance anxiety, and there were times throughout the week where I seriously considered throwing in the towel for good. It's not about doing well per se, but maintaining the standard that I've set for myself, which ends up being suffocating, I gotta be honest. I do want to apologize if this comes off as annoying or grating. The support that I've been given means the world to me, so I thank you for that. With that said, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want, but more than anything else, take care of yourselves, and as always, stay safe out there and have a good one.